All right, he's a madman. Yeah, he's a bit crazy.
Wow, a host on Newsmax criticizing Trump for being horrible? Thank God, that's a... Oh. Crap.
But we like it that way. A madman, and that is a good thing.
This really is my favorite kind of pro-Trump brain rot, where like they know he's not good at stuff, so they'll pretend that the way that he's bad at stuff is secretly good. I have to hear this.
It actually, once he's president again, as is my hope, will keep us safer, just like it did when he was president, and just like it did when other people that our enemies thought were a little bit crazy, it helps us. There's actually a theory. It's called the Madman theory, and it came up in the Nixon administration when a country makes their leader look irrational and volatile, so other world leaders would avoid provoking the country, fearing an unpredictable response. And Richard Nixon, who was definitely a little bit different, is the guy who got this started.
Ah, yes, Nixon, everyone's role model. Let's just follow this through and make sure I got your theory right, okay? And then I'll show you my theory and we'll determine who's more likely to be correct. Your theory is that Trump studies history, and my theory is that he's a dumb dildo. But we'll compare. Your theory is that he's a scholar and looks at Nixon and examines his presidency and asks himself, what is a smart thing Nixon did that I should do more of, and what is a stupid thing that Nixon did that I should do less of. And after this study, he decided to adopt the Madman theory of governance. He didn't look at Nixon and be like, wow, maybe I shouldn't do stupid crap that gets me impeached. No, he looked at Nixon and was like, yeah, I'm not gonna open up relations with China, EPA, I'm not quite sure I'm gonna enforce environmental regulations. Instead, I'm going to do the Madman theory. You. You. Now we consider my theory, the he's a dumb dildo theory. I could give you old evidence that he's a dumb dildo.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Or I could do new evidence that he is a dumb dildo.
I'm for us. I'm for us. You know how you spell us, right? You spell us, U.S. I just picked that up. Has anyone ever thought of that before? I just picked that up. A couple of days I'm reading and it said us. And I said, you know, if you think about it, us equals U.S.
Now, does that mind seem like the kind of mind that would do an advanced study of foreign policy history? Probably not. The guy who just told his voters not to vote for him.
Voters, you don't have to vote. Don't worry about voting. The voting, we got plenty of votes.
Is that a sophisticated mind or a dumb dildo? He even sounds like a vibrator.
You know, the thing makes it so...
And the dumb dildo theory is actually even more robust and girthy than that. It actually explains not just the behavior of Trump, but the entire dynamic between Trump and all of his fans like Greg Kelly, who come up with insane theories like this. Trump is basically a dildo. He's basically a dildo. He's just a thing. He's a vaguely penis-shaped, brightly colored thing that just kind of bloppity google boogles around.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
According to Trump's former national security officer, a second Trump presidency might not be so bad because Trump is apparently so easily distracted.
Why should you just hand it over to him? Do it as a form of a loan. I do that with athletes. They can't quite, like a professional golfer who I think is very good. They don't have any money, but they have a lot of talent. I'll say, here's the deal. I did it with a number of people. Here's the deal, what I want to do. Professional golfer, I play golf. I play very nice. Did you see the picture of me, the horrible picture with the stomach out to here? That was... So what I do is I'm putting up today a picture of me actually, what I actually look like.
He wants to withdraw from NATO, and a second Donald Trump term, you believe, would mean almost an immediate withdrawal from NATO.
Well, I think he would do it very early in the term. The remedy I would propose to anybody who doesn't want us to withdraw from NATO is find a way to distract his attention. And since he has a short attention span, that can work at least for a while until it pops back into his head.
So, quick refresher on John Bolton. He worked in the Trump administration as well as the Reagan and W. Bush administrations. He has long had a reputation for being a warmonger, and one of his chief complaints against Trump was that he did not issue a quote-unquote disproportionate response against Iran after they shot down an American drone. When Trump called off the attack against Iran at the last minute, once he learned that up to 150 people would be killed in the attack, Bolton said it was, quote, the most irrational thing I ever witnessed any president do. Wow, that's not even the worst of what Bolton has said, done, or advised during any of his times in the White House. My point is, he may be anti-Trump now, but he's not anyone that we should be celebrating. But he has made it clear that he is not supporting a second Trump term. When he left the administration, he did what a lot of former Trump associates do. He wrote a book and made countless television appearances detailing just how bad it was to actually work with Trump. He's still doing it. And while you should take everything he says with a grain of salt, he was known for his meticulous note-taking. At least his accounts of events are somewhat reliable. So Bolton recently did an interview with the Midas Touch Network, and he mentioned that Trump, if reelected, would likely try to pull out of NATO sooner than later. He said, quote, the remedy I would propose to anybody who doesn't want us to withdraw from NATO is find a way to distract his attention. And since he has a short attention span, that can work, at least for a while, until it pops back into his head. And while that's both sad and terrifying in the context of dealing with an American president, it is in line with other Trump associates who have suggested in the past that Trump's attention is fleeting and sometimes non-existent. His former chief of staff, Reince Priebus, said that instead of saying no to some of Trump's more off-the-wall ideas, it was easier to just tell him next week. He'd forget all about it by the time next week rolled around. Tennessee Republican Senator Bob Corker compared Trump to a toddler, saying that the White House was run like a, quote, adult daycare center.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. If you get it in order, you get extra points. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Barbara Rez, who worked not in the White House but in the Trump Organization, said, quote, you either have to just convince him something better was his idea or ignore what he said to do and hoped he forgot about it the next day. Another White House official said, quote, you have to just move the conversation along to something else. And in 2020, the New York Times published an article with the headline, quote, for spy agencies, briefing Trump is a test of holding his attention. Throughout his presidency, it was regularly reported that Trump does not read, not even his intelligence briefings. Miles Taylor, a former Trump DHS official, said in an interview that he had to oversimplify national security reports for Trump. He said, quote, this 50-page memo that we would normally give to any other president is something Trump literally can't read. The man doesn't read. We got to boil this down into a one-pager in his voice. He then referred to the language he had to use in these memos as, quote, incandescently stupid and bombastic. It was also reported that Trump spent most of his days as president just watching Fox News, and unlike other presidents who would get daily verbal briefings, Trump would only get a verbal briefing every 2 or 3 days. But while he may have preferred verbal briefings to written ones, keeping his attention throughout those verbal briefings was also a challenge. One senior official said that during the briefings, Trump would rant about whatever was on his mind for the majority of the time, which would only leave a few minutes for the team to actually discuss the things that they needed to discuss. Another official said, quote, he often goes off on tangents during the briefing and you have to rein him back in. According to Michael Wolff's book, several high-ranking Trump administration officials called Trump idiot, dumb, dope, and moron, among other things. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis compared Trump's understanding to that of a, quote, 5th or 6th grader. Trump's chief of staff called him unhinged. Omarosa Manigault Newman, who did something in the Trump White House, said he was a, quote, racist, misogynist, and bigot. Steve Bannon said Trump was, quote, like an 11-year-old child. Steve Bannon also said that Ivanka Trump was, quote, dumb as a brick, which isn't relevant to this story, but I thought it was funny. And his former national security advisor, H.R. McMaster, who served in the role prior to John Bolton taking over, called Trump an idiot and a dope with the intelligence of a kindergartner.